Ali, I want to start with you. Some big news. Tell us about it.
Yeah, Kristen, just minutes ago, we heard from the NATO Secretary General who announced that an agreement had been made after we saw these conditions set by Turkish President Erdogan, saying essentially that if NATO wanted his support for Sweden's membership, Turkey would have to be accepted into the European Union, something that has been opposed for decades now. And that really was thought to throw a wrench in what was supposed to be many discussions at this summit in Lithuania to really rally for Sweden's membership. Remember, it was supposed to happen weeks ago with Finland, and because of opposition from Turkey and Hungary, that was postponed. We have a new statement from the president reacting to this big decision. Just a few minutes ago, he says in part, quote, "I welcome the statement issued by Turkey, Sweden, and the NATO Secretary General this evening, including the commitment by President Erdogan." And he adds, "I stand ready to work with President Erdogan in Turkey on enhancing defense and deterrence in the Euro-Atlantic area." It's unclear, Kristen, whether Erdogan was able to negotiate that EU agreement, because before this we had heard from the Secretary General saying that NATO and EU are two separate entities. They shouldn't be linked at all. These conditions have nothing to do with each other, essentially. So until we find that out, really the details of this agreement, so far it seems like this was a very positive progression, a very positive advancement, and it seems like this deal to get Sweden past the finish line seems finalized, Kristen.
Yeah, it was just an extraordinary about-face by Turkey. The leadership there staunchly opposed until, of course, NATO Secretary General tweeted that out. Why is it critical for the summit to reach this deal now, Ali, and what else are you tracking that's on the agenda there?
Yeah, well, this really put the president and the United States sort of in an awkward position, because the United States and U.S. officials have said that they support Turkey's membership into the European Union, but they've also added that they really have nothing to do with the situation and the decision is not up to them. So this decision happening now really takes a load off of the president as he prepares to meet with Erdogan tomorrow and have these discussions, and it really takes this topic off of sort of his to-do list when he meets with Erdogan, because there are so many other things that the president wants to focus on during this NATO summit. We've talked about that focus specifically on President Zelensky's campaign to have Ukraine become a member of NATO. Remember, he's hoping for at least the framework of a deal to come out of this summit. But we've heard the president, as you played in that soundbite there, saying Ukraine is not ready. Other leaders of NATO allies have said as long as Ukraine is at war with Russia, this should just be not on the table, at the risk of having Russian aggression towards those Western allied countries for supporting Ukraine. The big question now is, in lieu of that NATO membership, that agreement, what sort of security compromise or deal could be made to help Ukraine defend itself while this war is still in effect? So the president is trying to really do this delicate dance of rallying support among these NATO allies while we're seeing divisions already, not just on that NATO membership of Ukraine, but also on that controversial decision you mentioned there for these cluster munitions to be sent to Ukraine, Kristen.
Yeah, Ali, let me follow up with you on that point, because in a letter to the president, 19 progressive Democrats actually condemned the decision to send those cluster bombs to Ukraine. What is the White House saying about this backlash from some members within his own party?
Yeah, the president facing backlash not just from these world leaders, these NATO allies, but also from members of his own party here in the United States. And while this pushback from these progressives, while it is rare, it wasn't all too surprising, because we had seen these progressive members of Congress speak out against the use of these cluster munitions for months now. They had even tried to get the president to sign off on a ban within the U.S. military for using these cluster munitions. So the administration, the president, is standing by this decision, defending this decision, saying really the alternative to not send these cluster munitions just wasn't an option, that these cluster munitions will help Ukraine stay in the fight while they still struggle during their counteroffensive, Kristen.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.